This is Pete Feenstra on Wednesday the 3rd of October 2002, live at the BBC with Joanne Shaw Taylor. Great to have you here, Joanne.
Thank you very much.
Talking about your brand new album, which tongue-twistingly is called Almost Always Never.
It is indeed.
Which kind of reflects quite a few of the lyrics on there, which are kind of not contradictory but very, very clever. Do you think a lot about them, a lot about the writing that went into this album?
Yeah, I mean, I had a little bit more time with this album than we did with the previous two. I think about a month in total to write it, which was a luxury. So
as opposed to writing in the back of a van.
Yeah, on an aeroplane, we've done that. Yeah. But yeah, it's we had about a month in total, and I got a lot more bulk of material together. So I just wrote everything and anything really, and handed them over to the producer.
Are these songs autobiographical, or are they kind of universal themes that people would recognise?
Yeah, I mean, I would say they're autobiographical. They're not all about me, but certainly, you know, friends.
Situation.
Yeah, and you know, I find it easier to write about things that I have some sort of knowledge about.
Yeah. So that comes through in the songs.
Oh, good.
It really does. And your singing, your phrasing has gone up a notch. Have you worked on that?
Kind of. I mean, it's I haven't been having any vocal lessons, but I think just sort of touring and so consistently over the past 3 years has helped a great deal.
Yeah, I'm sure it has. And the way you actually deliver your lines on this album, some of them sound really in the moment, live in the studio. Is that how it was done?
Yeah, I mean,
you've even altered the lyrics on a couple of
one
song, I think. You know.
Yeah, we actually wrote the lyrics as we were sort of singing it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was, you know, you have to try and keep some of those elements in it.
Yeah. So this is a really adventurous and exciting album, which strikes off in a completely different direction from what you've done before. Was that the intention? Because you've actually changed as you recorded.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the intention to divert from what I was doing. It was just the intention to try and write as good as songs as I possibly could. You know, which I'm still learning how to do that really, but that's what I tried to do, and those are, I felt, the best ones out of all the ones I wrote for the album. So that's the only real intention.
And of course, your last two albums, you had a working relationship with producer Jim Gaines. This one's been produced and overseen by Mike McCarthy, the famous guy in Austin there, who I did something with Spoon a few years ago. How did you end up working with him?
Actually, my manager's friends with his manager, and I guess they got talking about me one evening, and I just relocated to Houston. We've been spending a lot of time in Houston, and Mike's obviously over in Austin, about an hour or so away. So we kind of they got us together for a meeting. I went over to the studio and met him, and we clicked, and it seemed I was kind of ready for a change, you know, and try something different, push me out my comfort zone. So
was it noticeably different working with him than it was what you were used to before?
Yeah, I mean, firstly he comes from a totally different background.
Yeah, kind of indie background.
And he didn't really know of me, so there was no sort of preconceptions about what I should do. Just try and make, you know. He was just very focused on what I was doing in that moment and not my back catalogue, so that was
yeah. And as you say, you had a good things click with him. I mean, did he have to push you to go into this new direction at all? I mean, how much of this album is you, and how were the songs done before you went in there, for example? Had you written the whole, or were they just parts and then he had?
You know, it's funny on some of them, like Standing to Fall was almost like a death metal song. It was like really.
He's got some big riffs on there.
You know, and he kind of made it more into a prog rock song. So, you know, the word differences, Almost Always Never was also a little bit heavier. I kind of envisioned it as sort of like a softer King's X kind of song.
That's a good idea, yeah.
But, you know, so things did get changed around, and the songs were different to anything I'd done before, and also they were very different from each other, so that was the main worry of making, you know, it sound cohesive.
And so what would be your touchstone for your signature sound? Would it be your guitar playing, or would it be the lyrics that would give coherence to the whole of this new direction?
I kind of like to think it's the package, i.e. it's the fact that, you know, I kind of play guitar a bit and the voice, and it's a lot of original material, and it's, you know, I think there's some common threads in that package between this album and White Sugar, you know, whether or not they're that obvious at first.
Did the songs change from when you took them to the studio? I mean, there's a couple of songs there that have got real jammed out finishes on them, big solos.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Standing to Fall was quite an up-tempo, you know.
Piece of the Sky, that's a real Texas piece, isn't it?
Yeah, that was kind of one that didn't kind of change, actually. I'd had that song for a long while. Army of One was a lot heavier, and, you know, it got stripped down.
Army of One is such an interesting completely, radically different from what you've ever done before. Where did that come from?
Actually, I wrote it as kind of it sounded a bit more in like the Going Home vibe or Dead and Gone off the previous two albums. Right. And then Mike's idea to make it more Zeppelin, you know.
Zeppelin, yeah.
Do the kind of acoustic thing, but yeah, that was a fun song to record. We did that last.
And you opened with Soul Station, one of the very best songs on the album, which is all very notable for the fact it's layered sound and guitar and synth and everything else that goes in there. Was that written as the lead song on the record?
No, it wasn't sort of written that way, but certainly when we recorded it, it became obvious that, you know, the best place to put it was the opening track. As you said,
it's a real arresting track.
Yeah, it's kind of it's a good introduction to the album, I think.
So, of all the songs on here, were they all written at the same time?
Predominantly, yeah, pretty much. The exception being Piece of the Sky, which I wrote when I was 18.
Did you really? It sounds a little bit like Storyville, that's why it's in Texas, you know, it's got that big feel in it. It builds the big... Yeah, very much so. Some of the other songs, Beautifully Broken, that almost sounds a bit like Dylan.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
lyrically, the way it's put together. Was that written with a radio play in mind, maybe? Or?
I mean, that actually was, as you mentioned earlier, one of the ones that got changed a lot. That was another kind of up-tempo, sounding more like a Richie Kotzen song, and then Mike kind of changed it to, just slowed it down a great deal, and it sort of sounded like a Stones kind of vibe to me. And kind of worked out a bit more.
Yeah. And whose idea was it to source the Frankie Miller song, Jealousy?
Unfortunately, that credit, and I'm going to have to live with this the rest of my life, goes to my boyfriend.
All right. Well,
and I'm never going to live that down, because everybody seems to love that song. So.
Well, the funny thing is, it's the only cover, and it fits in really well with the flow and the sequencing of the album.
Yeah, I mean, I was surprised, and I don't know if you've heard the original.
Yeah.
The original's got like the twin guitar things on.
But I haven't heard it for years and years.
But we ended up not doing that. But I thought it worked out really well. That's one of my favourites, you know.
And you've got a kind of distorted guitar tone on that. Was that to give it a bit of edge?
Yeah, that was. I mean, Mike's kind of really into, you know, the whole Jimmy Page kind of era. So we had the old Marshall and Echo Flex kind of going, made it a bit eerie.
And Standing to Fall again builds to a great big end. Was that how it was conceived before you recorded it?
No, I mean that was.
Studio?
No, I mean again that was meant to be more of like an up-tempo rock song, but it just kind of turned into this classic rock kind of prog.
And the final track, you have to tell me what the title is. I've forgotten. But it's
Lose Myself in Loving.
Really good ballad.
Yeah.
Again, different from what's on the album elsewhere.
Yeah, it is very different. A good story, I think, or I hope so. I was quite pleased with how that turned out. Lyrically, you know, they're all very different songs, but I hope it does tie together very well, I think. I think it's an interesting album.
Well, it absolutely is, and thinking about that, thinking about the fact that there's a lot of layered sounds and tone colours and all this kind of business, how are you going to transpose what's on this album to the live sort of setting? You have to make any adjustments for that?
Yeah, we've added a keyboard player for this tour, so we're moving away from the three-piece vibe, which I think the most interesting thing there is not how we made these songs live, but some of the older ones. You know, the two as a three-piece. So it's kind of the fun challenge there.
So what's the band going to be on this tour?
This is my usual US touring band, which is Tony DeCello, who joined us in April, and Joseph Below on the bass, who joined us at the beginning of the year, and then we have a British keyboard player called Jules Grange.
Oh, he's excellent. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. So, just going back, talking and tailing this with Mike, the producer, he's a guy who apparently works on one song at a time and gets into the vibe of a song rather than doing a countless number of drum parts and, you know, doing it that way. Did that mean that he brought more, or he got more out of a song that he actually taken?
Yeah, and I think was kind of a happy accident working with Mike, that we were both very song orientated, you know. Because at the end of the day, a good guitar solo is a good guitar solo, but if it's not on a good song, you know, people forget it.
Well, the strong thing about this album is that you've got some blistering solos on there, but they don't actually arrive where you think they're going to arrive. Some of these songs really build up attention, rack up attention, and then you let them in.
Yeah.
Whereas previously you'd play a shuffle or a very interesting song and it'd be guitar led. A lot of these songs are actually keyboard led, aren't they?
Yeah, and that was the nice thing about that as well. It's like when the guitar is in there, it's in there for a reason and it has a purpose. Whereas like Lose Myself to Loving You, if a song didn't need a guitar solo, we didn't put one on there.
Yeah.
which I think that is actually the only song without one. But you know, it was nice to structure the guitar solos a bit more and not have the sort of and how the type of guitar solo.
No, it's quite the opposite. It's quite eclectic at parts, some really catchy other parts, some good melodies, some really nice layered sounds. Is this going to be a template for your next album as well? I mean, I'm sure you're not even thinking about that yet, but I mean,
I don't know. I mean, I always like to try and do different albums, but as long as what I want to be able to do is go back and say 10 albums and go, well, they all sound like Joanne Shaw Taylor.
Whole catalogue of songs. And finally, we should let everybody out there know about your tour, which I think starts in your hometown of Birmingham on October the 9th.
Yeah, Bilston, Rock 2, October the 9th.
We've got them here now.
And Bristol Tunnels on the 11th. Tavistock Wharf on the 12th, Falmouth on the 13th, Poole on the 14th. Mr. Kipps, Arrett London, your hometown, Leicester Square Theatre on the 16th.
That's a new one, that should be interesting.
Yeah, the Haunt, Brighton on the 19th, Arts Centre Norwich on the 20th, Waterside Sale 21st, Duchess York 23rd, Newcastle on the 24th, Glasgow O2 on the 26th.
We're making it work. Yeah.
Stockton Ark, I sound like a weather presenter. Stockton Ark on the 27th and finishing at Hospital Rescue Rooms on the 28th.
So that pretty well covers the whole of the UK. Go out and see it. Once again, the new album is titled Almost, Always, Never. As I said, a real tongue twister. Really great album. It's been Pete Feenstra talking to Joanne Shaw Taylor for GetReadyToRock.com. Thank you to Eric Harvey on the camera, and good afternoon.
Thank you.